Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the South Dakota Healthy Nutrition Collaborative's Lunch and Learn series. Today, we have Megan EisenVos, a community and food systems organizer for Dakota Rural Action. But before we get to Megan, I'm going to just give a brief intro of the South Dakota Healthy Nutrition Collaborative and what we're about. So, the purpose of the collaborative is to bring a collective voice to support access to nutritious food, which brings a strong foundation for healthy South Dakota families and communities to prosper. We have 3 goal groups, the first of which is to improve coordination and identify statewide research, evaluation, and best practices to improve South Dakotans' food and nutrition security. The second is to elevate the voices of food nutrition advocates, researchers, and individuals experiencing food nutrition insecurity. And the third is to advance policy implementation to improve food nutrition and security in South Dakota. This webinar series is under the second or the first goal group. And with that, I will hand it over to Megan. And again, Megan EisenVos is the Community and Food Systems organizer for Dakota Rural Action. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you so much. Get this going. All righty. Thanks so much, Jen and the collaborative for offering this opportunity to share a bit about Dakota Rural Action and our work in South Dakota. I'm excited to be with you today. I am based in Sioux Falls, and Dakota Rural Action is statewide. We are only in South Dakota. There are similar organizations to ours across the country, but we have our roots deep right here in the state. Our mission, I'll just read this for you. Our mission is that we organize people and build leadership while developing strong allied relationships. We protect environmental resources, advocate for resilient agricultural systems, and empower people to create policy change that strengthens their communities and cultures. So just in like layman's terms, instead of mission language, we are community organizers. So we are building a base of members, regular people of South Dakota that care about making this place the place that we all want to live and that future generations want to come back to. And we see the way to do that is through policy change, and policy that is informed and guided by the grassroots level, which is, again, regular people if you look to our practice here, that democracy only functions when citizens are informed and engaged, that we provide a structure for people to take strategic collective action in policy of all levels, and that work is driven by our members. And Dakota Rural Action actually came out of the 80s farm crisis. You may have heard of this great time or important time in our country's history. I won't read all of these issues that we've worked on and how we've shown up, but I'll just sort of go through these slides to show you that Dakota Rural Action has shown up consistently for South Dakota for 40 years around the long work of supporting farmers and taking action to advance and promote these policies that can improve their practices while also investing in a resilient local food system. A lot of other issues that we show up around are policies that can help farmers get a fair price for their product, that we want family farmers, independent farmers on the land, as opposed to large corporations. As part of our ethic of South Dakota, we are rural and family farmer driven. Through the years, we've also shown up as local chapters as a model of our organizing. The thought that people care deeply about the place and the people around them in their locality, which is a way that people can come together across differences because we have these shared interests of our community, of our way of life. And so having those local chapters is a good structure for people to come together, build community, and think about what is the world that we want for our community, and how do we get there, and how can we do that together. We have shown up often through the 80s and 90s against that like factory corporate farming structure. And then from there, we stepped more into building local food systems and different policies around that, whether it's like the cottage food law or processing policies, of the ability for smaller producers to be able to process and sell their products. We also then, around the Keystone Pipeline era, happened upon this like great moment of solidarity in our state of when the large majority of landowners did not want outside private companies to come in and take their land for their private benefit, which was also happening on reservation land and also has been throughout history often how land has been taken from Indigenous people in our state. And it was this moment of solidarity where people all came together to stand together in solidarity against these private companies from taking land and hurting the well-being of the people there. We continue to show up in ways of solidarity and building a more just and equitable system that's representative of all people in South Dakota. We have had chapters across the state, and often these chapters have come up around issues that rose in those communities and aren't active anymore, but just shows that our roots go deep across the state among many communities. In more recent era of Dakota Rural Action's time, we have continued to keep our through line of fighting corporate farming and pushing for a food system that we want to see in our world, and how that moves toward more vitality, economic stability, and well-being for South Dakotans. And these are our main buckets of work today. On the west side of the state, we have a lot of action around mining and water in the sacred Haisapa Black Hills area of South Dakota. There's a lot of mining interests which are at odds with the safety of the water, the sanctity of the land, and what the local people there would like to see for their place. So we have supported communities there. We have an organizer that's working around clean energy, trying to, right now that work is kind of in its infancy, but building a base of people that care about having clean and renewable energy, and how can we do that in a responsible way in South Dakota. Maybe it's like net metering or just zoning policies and that sort of thing. And we'll go in a circle kind of counterclockwise. Then rural vitality is another sort of bucket of work, which is basically saying, again, like common sense zoning, as we have different projects and corporations, interests coming into South Dakota. How can we make sure that our local zoning ordinances are set up in a way that the people living there are protected, that their way of life is preserved, and that all parties are paying their fair share of the cost, whether that's for road maintenance, water cleanliness, air cleanliness, and education, etc. We also have shown up around the Farm Bill, which again is a national policy that we are having we organize local actions and also have opportunities for our members to go to DC and talk with our ag staffers in real time to talk about the policies that we want to see in the Farm Bill. Over the last 4 years, we've been a key backbone, part of the backbone to the carbon pipeline fight in South Dakota. We've had some really key wins this year, in recent years, around the CO2 pipeline. Again, how can we as South Dakotans show up for each other to make sure that any private company or interests are also recognizing the well-being of the people that live here. Our ag and food systems work is where I show up the most, and that right now is an exciting time, I think, because it encompasses our farm to school efforts. And farm to school is a body of work that includes school gardens, garden education, and local procurement of products. To me, it's a great way of utilizing the money in our schools for school lunch and breakfast and snacks, putting those dollars into our local economies through producers, which then improves the nutritional quality of the food that the kids have, while also providing a market opportunity for our local producers. And I've been sort of talking about organizing, and I just want to make sure that there's sort of a shared understanding of what I mean when I say that. It's not about making sure all of the documents are neatly filed away and labeled, though I do think that's a good practice. We are organizing people. How can we, it's not that I, as the organizer, have all the answers or the best strategy or all of the knowledge, but when we bring people together with different perspectives, experiences, skills, and strengths, we are all stronger because of that and can have the best strategy to come up with together. So my role as an organizer is to support communities when something comes up that they would like to organize around. So one example would be if there is a project that's proposed in your local county, and the people there have concerns about the conditional use permit, part of my role is helping that community. The best thing you can do is be organized together on the same page. If you come together, you can share your concerns, brainstorm solutions, and then be more more able to sell your arguments to the county commissioners. How can you make your concerns compelling enough that the commissioners are going to listen to the people over the perceived dollar impact of this project? And so that kind of goes down to this third point of people power over money power. I, as an individual, do not have a lot of influence or ability to impact change, but I know when I show up with my community around the issues that we care about together, there's a lot more ability to flex power, to make decisions that protect our way of life and move us toward, again, the South Dakota that we want to see, that generations will want to come back to live in. And so that power comes from our members. And so we are a member-based organization, and membership is open to all. We have folks across the state, and part of that work of being a member is committing to have your voice as part of that change making, and also showing up for each other, and part of the goal of staying informed and empowered to use your voice to be part of this work. And there is the next opportunity to get involved in some of our work that we're a part of is this farm to school piece that I mentioned. There's two really exciting meetings this month. One is tomorrow, actually, in Sioux Falls, and one is July 22nd in Rapid City. We are at the point of brainstorming solutions to help move farm to school forward in South Dakota. There's lots of barriers that people are in this work can pretty quickly identify, barriers that keep farm to school from being the easy option or the best choice. So then how can we, taking those root causes, those problems, how can we find solutions to address those that will then move farm to school forward? And the goal is from these events to pull together perspectives from many stakeholders, whether it's teachers or parents, school board members, food service directors, staff, people that care about local food systems, producers, bringing those stakeholders together to see where we can go as a state network to impact some sort of policy change to make farm to school the easier option. Each of these events is also paired with a farm tour, which is also exciting. So on the side, I also am a co-owner and farmer at Iron Fox Farm, and am excited to invite you to our space for a farm tour tomorrow after the event. There will be follow-up events from these. The conversation won't be over. So if these dates don't work for you, I encourage you to reach out and get involved as things come up. There is a registration QR code on the screen for those events. And then the QR code on the left is would take you to the form for our membership if that is something that interests you. If you'd like to hear more about our work, feel free to ask me questions after this presentation, but also part of my job is meeting with people one-on-one to hear your story, the issues that you care about, so that we can figure out what are ways that you can get involved to help be part of this change that we're making for South Dakota. Thank you so much for your time, and I welcome any questions or curiosities.
Thank you, Megan. We really appreciate you presenting today. I am going to stop the recording so we can get some questions.